So President Donald Trump, along with Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, just made some big announcements that are going to affect, well, pretty much the whole United States. I'm going to give you the details here in this video. Along with President Donald Trump's announcement of tariffs and trade deals, which are going to affect prices here on, well, millions of products here. I'll give you the details here of that in this video. And this is very important for your money and your pocketbooks and going forward here for at least the rest of the year, if not even further going forward. I'm going to let you hear from President Donald Trump on this in this video directly from himself. And this is going to affect a lot of different things, including interest rates, credit card interest rates, mortgage interest rates, personal loan interest rates, as well as the tariffs as well, because right now there are tariffs on everything being imported from every single country overseas. And I'll give you all the details on that in this video, because this is some major news, and this is going to, you'll find out how this is going to cost you in this video. So let's jump right in. We are live right now here on the YouTube It's Jimmy Show. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Type yes in the chat. Let me know where you're tuning in from. You can let me know your city, state, or even your country, as we have people tuning in here from all around the globe. Don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't yet, and help me reach 500,000 subscribers here on YouTube. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube show, It's Jimmy, if you're watching me on one of the other platforms, so you can watch full videos. And don't forget to hit that like button. All right, take a look here. First, I'll let you hear directly from President Donald Trump on the message he just sent to Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell here today. Take a listen to what he had to say.
Raise your rates. I'm all for it. I'll be calling you. He'll be too late for that too. But raise your rates. You don't have to keep them up here. If it's going to go up, I'm okay with you raising, but it's down. And we're going out to financing. And I may have to force something. Somebody said, who's the genius that thought of that? I said, it's me. Unlike Biden, I stay awake at night thinking about how to save our country. He was much better at sleeping than me. He could sleep on a beach. He could sleep on a beach with cameras rolling. I can't do that. But I had an idea. I gave it. They said, this is really, we'll go short term for a year. Let this guy get out of office. Somebody will come in, cut it a couple of points, and we'll save ourselves $7, $8, maybe even $900 billion a year. What is he doing? Why doesn't he lower these rates? And with that, we'll get on to the California standard, which is a disaster, okay?
President Trump repeating his call there for Fed Chair Powell to lower rates. We came into it in the middle where he said, if inflation comes up, you can raise rates. But he's clear that he wants lower rates, and also clear on Fed Chair Powell's future. His term expires next year. Let's bring in Megan Casella. She's outside the White House for this signing. Megan, Fed is clearly top of mind. We got more inflation data that actually backs the president up today.
Absolutely. Always top of mind for this president, and really throughout the administration, Sarah, we've started to hear these sorts of terms, this sort of criticism of the Fed chair. Just yesterday, the Vice President, J.D. Vance, after we got the CPI figures, accused the Fed of what he called monetary malpractice. So we're starting to hear this more and more throughout the administration. But I will emphasize that in that same appearance just a few moments ago, I don't think it was part of that soundbite, but the president also said, that he is not going to fire Powell. So he says he understands and recognizes that the fake news, as he calls them, always say it would be so bad if he fires Powell. He says, I'm not going to fire him. I just want to call him too late Powell. So a lot of questions here. And the biggest one being, one, when he might nominate a successor to Powell. When I talk to officials, some officials seem to think it would be fairly soon, even though Powell's chairmanship isn't up until next May, almost a year from now. The second question being, whoever he nominates next, the more often that we hear these sorts of comments from the administration, is it just going to be someone who's so willing to bend to anything that this administration wants to see, regardless of the data, sort of questioning the Fed's independence and its data dependency? So the more and more that we hear this, I think the greater there is a risk that whoever comes next might be more willing to listen to what's coming from the White House.
So you guys can let me know your thoughts. So remember, President Donald Trump He's urging the Fed to lower interest rates. He said it could save the U.S. government up to $900 billion in interest. Well, the U.S. government is paying only around $900 billion in interest a year, so they would have to completely get rid of interest completely. So they can't quite save that much, but maybe with all the, not just the federal interest, but, state interest and other stuff like that, maybe. But nobody wants to pay higher interest. Well, except for the, banks that are receiving the interest and things like that. They enjoy the interest. But higher interest rates mean, well, you're paying more money for credit card interest rates, mortgage interest rates, bank loans, car loans, personal loans, everything. So not many people enjoy higher interest rates. Let me know in the comment section if you do, and if you want to see interest rates go lower. However, remember that banks, let me back that up. Federal reserves around the world, central banks, raise interest rates to curb inflation, and not just the United States Federal Reserve, banks all around central banks all around the world, This is a tried and true method to curb inflation because it stops people from overspending and buying things on debt, credit cards, mortgages, car loans, because technically that's debt. You're not paying for it with cash. You're not just writing a check for it. You're buying it on debt, So it curbs spending when people are overspending. They're buying it with money they don't have. They're taking out a loan for it, So now we are starting to see inflation go back up, It is going up right now. And we've started to see a lot of reports where these tariffs are causing prices to go up. President Donald Trump just said himself that they've brought in $88 billion and counting due to tariffs, And I think that most people recognize that the tariffs are causing price increases, We've seen many, many reports of businesses, even U.S. businesses that import from other countries, and they have to raise prices because of the tariffs. Now, this will lead me to some more price increases here. I want to cover this briefly. Oil prices rise more than 4% on escalating U.S.-Iran tensions, We're actually seeing some significant problems with Iran. Trump said he is losing confidence that the U.S. and Iran can strike a deal over the Islamic Republic's nuclear program that would avoid a war in the region. I'm surprised that Trump even trusts Iran in any way, shape, or form. They seem to be delaying, just like Russia, and I think that's a shame, but I'm less confident now than I would have been a couple months ago, Trump told the New York Post. Something happened to them, but I'm much less confident of a deal being made. Quote, but it would be much nicer to do without warfare, without people dying. Iran's doing everything they can to get a nuclear weapon. But I don't see the same level of enthusiasm for them to make a deal. I think they would make a mistake, but we'll see. I guess time will tell. This also comes here as China affirms a trade deal with the U.S. and says they always keep their word. This comes as, China literally hacks us on a daily or weekly basis, but, they'll keep their word. This also comes here as the U.S. says that tariffs on China won't change, though. They won't go down. As the tariffs, President Donald Trump earlier said that U.S. duties or tariffs on China will total 55%, though a U.S. White House official told CNBC that figure is not new. So tariffs on China are 55% in total, which means that basically if the tariffs weren't there, we are now paying more than half of any price of what these goods would be coming from China Remember, there's millions of products that come from China if the tariffs weren't there. So anything that comes from China is now priced 55% more because of these tariffs. Now, don't forget, this is in addition to the tariffs for every other country in the world. President Donald Trump just said that there will be 50% tariffs on steel and aluminum. The United States currently consumes all the steel that we produce, so we need more steel coming in. We do not produce enough for what we consume. And then aluminum as well. Think about things like aluminum cans for soda pop. The millions and millions of those are just going to raise prices, and the clip I showed the other day where the Congress lady holding up bananas talking to trade secretary saying we cannot build bananas in the United States even if we do grow some. We consume over 1 billion bananas a year, and that's just going to raise prices because we have to import bananas, kiwis, coffee, all these things that the United States cannot grow enough of and are now being imported from some other country, and the United States just simply cannot produce enough of. So let me know your thoughts on this, and I will keep you up to date here on everything going on a daily basis that you need to know about. So make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on future videos, and click the bell icon so you get notifications, and share this video with somebody that needs to hear this video. Click this video to see new information about Trump's new stimulus checks. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you